push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Ysn Power Hour for Monday, March 28th, 2022. DJ Yoakley with you, and what a weekend it was. A lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. Get it? Because everything here is literally just all over the place still. But good news on the horizon, ladies and gentlemen, because starting this time next week, we will be having a brand new studio for this show, for Running Point, and for all of our stuff here at YSN. So we're excited to debut that. We'll have remote locations such as this one throughout the studio. We'll have one back there that is solely dedicated to Power Hour, one that is solely dedicated to Running Point, and one that is solely dedicated to our kind of stow-and-go shows, such as Audible Call and things like that. So we're excited for that. But without further ado, welcome to the Ysn Power Hour. Again, such a great weekend. If you were able to take part in that in any way, I think you all knew that it went spectacularly. Just spectacularly on so many different levels. And we're going to get to all of that, plus some. Jenna McClish will join this show today in a pre-recorded interview that we had last week. Such a special young lady. We're excited to be able to talk with her. And again, a special few moments for her last time on the basketball court as a member of Salem High School. It's a great interview. It's about 20 minutes long, so we'll catch up with her in the second half of today's show, the 3:30 half of the show. But without further ado, we kick off today's show like we do each and every one. It is Today in Sports History. Today in sports history, I guess it was before I was born, so it was a little while ago. Today, March 28, 1972, Wilt Chamberlain plays his last pro basketball game. The legend of the National Basketball Association, Wilt Chamberlain, made his final game here. I guess they must have started or ended before they do now, because they play all the way till June now in the finals. So it's an interesting day to end on right before April. Maybe the playoffs started sooner back then. I have no idea. I just thought it was interesting. Then and a perfect segue into our players here at YSN playing some of their final games on the hardwood at South Range on Saturday nights. And what a night it was. 98 confirmed players for this game, and we had some call-offs because there were some illnesses and people didn't want to get anybody sick, and we had one that just said you couldn't come at the last moment. So it is what it is when it comes to that. We wish they could have been there, but certainly we had fun nonetheless, and both games were just, it's hard to put into words. It's still, even 48 hours later, still hard to put into words what Saturday meant to so many people. There was tears. There was a ton of smiles. There was hugs and handshakes and everything to go around. Everybody played just like it was a special moment. There were dunks during the boys' game. There were 5-pointers. We even, on the final play of the it was actually a shootout for the girls game. Zeta Creaky of Austintown Fitch ended the game with a 5-pointer because it was 52-52, and they went to a shootout, and Zeta, I think within the first 3 or 4 shooters of it, drilled it for the away team to give them the walk-off winner, and something that she's done. I think she hit one during the game as well. Just an absolute sniper is Creaky from beyond the arc, and she proved it on Saturday night. Just a junior, so you get to see her play all next year as well right here on the network. But what a good time. I mean, I think when the boys said it best on Running Point today, Jenna McClish, who we're going to talk to in just a little bit here, she was the entertainer of the evening. She just was the maestro on the floor, kept everybody entertained. When she realized that, sometimes it was getting a little mundane, it turned into more of a basketball game than an entertainment session. She was able to turn it up, and I just can't thank the teams enough, the coaches, the players, for coming out, having a good time, wearing that jersey one more time. And I think we did, beyond reasonable doubt, bid adieu to the 2022 year on the basketball court farewell, and we did it with a nice nod, with a nice ode to what was 2022. So hopefully, if you were out there or you were watching, you got a chance to put the cap on it as well. We thought that everything, I can't say it enough, it went well. It went well, and people don't realize how much work goes into that from a behind-the-scenes standpoint, and from everything from the 50-50 raffle to promoting it, to making sure that there's enough people to have the event, to make sure people show up, to make sure everybody has the right jersey on, to making sure that people know where it's at or where it is. My wife would kill me. She's probably sitting there. It's not where it's at. It's where it is. Welcome to Northeast Ohio. I'm always going to say that. It was just an overwhelming success. And with the help and just support of so many in that building the other night, we were able to raise over $4,000 for the Purple Cat, Golden String, Jimmy Sutman and his 501c3s and his great programs that he has to help so many with, whether they're kids or whether they are adults with disabilities. It's important to us to be able to support great people and great programs like Jimmy has there. And I know he had a wonderful time DJing, but it kind of took his breath away whenever we brought that check out. And it took mine away too. People were asking me, what were your expectations going in? And my expectations, I'll tell you the same thing that I told them. Expectations were if we got over $1,000, I was excited, right? I was happy because I think at the end of the day, it was a great opportunity. And I think last year for the All-Star baseball game, we were able to get about $900 for a scholarship, if I'm not mistaken. The number escapes me, but I'm thinking it was around there. And for this one, to be able to go $4,157, it's like a dream come true. That's what it is. It really is a dream come true to be able to raise those funds on one night. Whether it be from we did the half-court shots during halftime. People were just $1 at a time contributing to the cause. To everybody that walked through that door made an impact that night. $5 at a time for the admission, and being able to buy the shirts that the players wore with that was special. It really was special, and it was. I wasn't able to grasp all of it until the next day and kind of reviewed it and broke everything down and broke down myself. It was one of those things where you don't realize what you're doing until it's all over, it's all said and done, the dust clears and everything settles. And so many people to thank. We were out of programs by the time the second game came around. I had a special thanks page that I put forth, and I will be sure to share that on Facebook today. But yesterday was, I was trying to share as much as I could and put everything into context with how everything kind of came together. with what it means and why it means so much to us at YSN and why we don't pocket that money. Because yeah, we would love to have opportunities like that where we use that as a fundraiser, but really it's about the kids, number one, first and foremost, that they're having a good time. It's about the coaches, it's about the programs, it's about our area. And I hate to be, and I don't think, and this is my personal opinion, so I'm not trying to knock anybody here, but I don't think All-Star games should ever be for profit. And does that mean you don't raise money for a good cause? No, it just means that you don't take that money and put it in your back pocket to go spend out willy-nilly based off the hard work of these players and these programs all year. I'm a firm believer that these programs should be put on a pedestal as they are here on our network, but then you take that opportunity to give back to something that is bigger than you are, and you promote that, that they don't always have the voice, and that's what we're trying to do here, is give voice to the voiceless. We're not Robin Hood, we're not stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, but what we're trying to do is spread the wealth around so everybody gets a nice feel-good moment, the warm and fuzzies. Sports is a great tool to be utilized for good, for the better of so many different things, and Saturday was a culmination of that, and I can't tell everybody that was part of that that special night, can't tell them enough how much it meant to me, how much it meant to Golden String, how much it meant to each of our announcers. But what we haven't talked about yet, I've not given the numbers out until right this moment. We had $4,000 worth of people walking in that building on Saturday night. We sold out South Range twice in the course of about 4 hours. We also had over 8,000 people tune in, whether it be Saturday or Sunday, on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever it may be, and on our website to watch that game. 8,000 views of those two games combined that were on ysnlive.com. So when I sit back and I wonder about the constant question, right, to me is always, we don't want to be part of YSN because we don't want people not going to the game. Saturday ended it. Saturday, to me, ended that conversation with an exclamation point, and it said, there's room for both people, both types of people in that conversation, because there's 8,000 people that would not have been able to come into that gymnasium on Saturday night, that were able to watch the game from all over the country, whether they were in a hospital, whether they were in another state, whether they were just sick, whether they couldn't go to the game because they were at a birthday party, whether they couldn't go to the game because they weren't able, because it was too far, because they didn't want to, they had other plans. That's what we're here for. But we're also here because the proof is in the pudding now, folks. The proof is in the pudding. And this is what I love about what we do the most, is people will still go to the games. They will always go to the games. And we can no longer hear anything about, well, you're going to take away tickets. You're going to take away admission. I'm sorry. That is completely flawed thinking now. And it's proof and evident in Saturday night that we sold out South Range, which is no small facility, had bleachers on both sides, and then in the upper mezzanine, sold out. It was cheek to cheek, as they say. And there were still people that were watching on YSN. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And if you're out there and you're watching and you're thinking to yourself, wow, okay, we want in, well, we want to be there now. Now we have standing evidence that we don't take away. In fact, we help you sell tickets to your programs because more people want to see it after they've seen you on television. See? Television. They've seen you on our streams. They've seen you, and not just in a world of newspaper or digital, or even on ysnlive.com you see the write-ups. They've seen you play now. And now we help you fill your stands. We help you fill your bleachers. It's an opportunity for you to dig in, to dive deeper, to get involved, to be connected to your fans, your families, your programs, your alumni, everybody that has come through and wants to be, excited about your program. We are the conduit, and we showed it on Saturday night. And I'm not just saying that. I was so excited, but I was in awe. I mean, 4 o'clock when those doors opened, I was standing there right next to B. Miller, who did an unbelievable job at the front. And the first face that you see from YSN when you walk through those doors at South Range was my guy Brendan Miller, and he killed it. He knocked it out of the park. But there was a just never-ending line from 4 o'clock till about 6:30 at the front door. And that tells you all you need to know. It tells you that sports is alive and well, not only here, but in America. And we are a perfect, just capsulated product of that. And it's exciting for us to be able to take a game like Saturday night, 2 games, a girls game, then a boys game, put all these great players on display, these great coaches on display for people that had never seen them, to shake hands with coaches and players they had never seen before but heard so much about, to be able to do it in person, to be able to watch one more time some of these seniors, for those seniors to have one last time in those uniforms. That means so much to you. I mean, you come through our doors here at YSN, and I know I'm no super athlete. I know I'm not a D1 guy, right? But I played baseball. But I will tell you this, my jersey was everything to me. I would give anything to go back and play one more time. And these kids got to. These kids had the opportunity to play one more time. And yes, there was an all-star circuit at the end of the year, and everybody wanted a piece of them. But I would be very hard-pressed to tell you, because I asked, if you guys had one more all-star game, even on Saturday night, if there was one more all-star game on Sunday, if there was one more all-star game on Monday, if there was one more all-star game this week, would you play? The answer, time and time again, was yes. These kids just want to play. These kids just want to play sports. They want to play the sport that they're seen as one of the top ones in their class or in their school. And that's what we did. We gave them one more shot. It's important to me to not always be last, to not always be the most marketed. It's important to me that these kids have a great time and they have the time of their lives one last time. One last time. One last time. Because how many of us would go out one more time and play baseball, even if it hurt the next day or next week? How many of us would go out and play one more game of football? I can tell you how many times I've heard that. How many times we would all just want to go out and get one more game with our buddies in hoops or even in the backyard. There's that saying that, I wish we knew it was the last time that we would play in the backyard with all of our buddies. For some of these kids on Saturday, they knew. They got the opportunity to know that it was the last time to suit up in their uniforms for their schools. And to me, that's something that I always wish we had when we were younger. And these kids, they're very fortunate because they had it. Not because of me or because of YSN, but they're very fortunate from any standpoint that they had the opportunity to wear that jersey one last time, knowing it's their last time, knowing it's their last shot. When you're looking at those seconds tick down on the clock, you get that ball in your hands, you're putting it up one more time because you know that's it. Some of those guys had one last dunk, one last time to put it down, look into the crowd and make their parents smile and see the smile on the faces of some of the people. There was grandparents in the stands. There was little brothers in the stands, parents that just smiling ear to ear, and it meant so much to me that the majority of them came up to one of us at YSN and said thank you, not because we wanted the pat on the back or anything like that. And it wasn't about necessarily the All-Star game. It was about seeing their kids play one more time. And I hope I'm not calling anybody out here, and I'm going to mention him by name because he's a close friend of the show and a guy that I love so much with my whole heart as we've really started to dig into great relationships with some of the parents that follow YSN. But Nick Colosimo is a guy that has been like a brother to me or an uncle to me. And I never knew him before 2 years ago. I never knew Nick from Adam 2 years ago. And I got to spend 5 minutes with Nick in person, which is hard pressed for both of our schedules. And to sit there, I probably hugged him 8 times because everything that he's done for me over the years, and there's so much that I could go into detail about, but he's adamant that we don't. Nick just wanted to see Christian play one more time, Christian Colosimo of Poland, and I know that he watched adamantly and just with complete detail every single time that Christian stepped on the floor, because he didn't know when the next time would be, or if there would be a next time. And I know that it meant a lot to him, and I know it meant to a lot of dads and moms like him. And I will say, I can't say that I saw tears from Nick, although it wouldn't have surprised me had I. But I know that there were tears in that building on the way out, especially towards the end of those games, because all those kids were walking off, and especially the seniors. Some of them will go on to play sports. Some of them will go on to play, sports in college. Some of them will go play intramural and things of that nature. But for parents, they understand that it's a different chapter. It's not the same chapter. You're probably not going to go watch all of the games in most cases, because college isn't like high school. You're not just traveling from Howland to Niles or from Howland to Poland. College is different, where you're traveling from New Wilmington, Pennsylvania to Bethany, West Virginia to Florida to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, sometimes to Texas, sometimes, and especially if you go D1, you're all over the country. You're all over the country. To see your kid play one last time, I can only imagine what it's like, and I hope one day that I'm able to share in that fraternity of what it's like to watch your son or daughter play that one last play in their high school uniform. But until then, I can just guess, and I have to imagine that the warm and fuzzies were flowing like water from Niagara. And man, I get emotional just talking about it, because I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, because everybody knows how emotional I get anyway. To see a Jenna McClish walk off the floor one last time, knowing that I called the majority of her games the last year and a half. Even guys like me, who I've only known her for 2 years, 3 years at the max, you get emotional, because you build these relationships with the kids, their parents, and it chokes you up a little bit. It chokes you up a little bit. Let's get to the comments real quick. Sorrel says, rocking the Bulldog outfit. Of course I am, Sorrel. Come on now. Oh, Mark, he's got me. YSN continues to knock it out of the park. How any school questions, the worth of a relationship with YSN is beyond me. So thankful that my son's school, Austintown Fitch, is blessed to be a YSN school. YSN continues to do so much for the Valley's student athletes. Mark, you're one of those guys, man. I have it on my calendar, Joe's last regular season game, and obviously just a crazy guess that he'll be playing in the All-Star game for YSN baseball. And I don't know that I'm going to be able to be around you or Anna Marie when that game ends. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that. Joe's another one of those guys that Joe was one of my first interviews when he was 13 or 14 years old. He's probably 13 at the time. We still have the interview on our YouTube channel, and I know Mark took a screenshot of that interview the other day and sent it to me. And it's tough. It's tougher. The longer we're around, the tougher it gets for me to see some of these kids go. And it's going to be like that for a little while as we continue to dive deeper into the younger and younger athletes. We look at Little League and things of that nature. My goodness. You know, it's going to be a hard one. I know last year with like Jake Gehring, Trey Pancake, and some of those seniors, that they were freshmen as we were filtering through. So they were the first ones to really have the full YSN experience from top to bottom. And you look at some of these kids that are coming into high school now. We were covering their Little League games. We covered the 11U Boardman Spartans when they won the state championship. That's going to be another very, very tough one to choke down whenever we're their seniors and they're on their way out. It's a very special thing. And I always said to everybody that would listen that the more games that we had, the deeper that YSN became, the more that we were able to get into these communities, the harder our job was going to get. The more proud we were going to be, but the more difficult our job gets, because now we are almost, no, I would never say that we're in the shoes of the parents, but we are, you know, that the funkle, right? The fun uncle that, you know, celebrates these kids on the court, on the field, on the diamond, whatever it may be. We celebrate them, and then for them to move on, we lose a piece of who we are too. You know, parents talk about that all the time. We lose a piece of who we are because we're fans. And, you know, I signed my emails, "Your fan," and especially I signed all of our invitations on YSN All-Star Game. We're huge fans of you. And it's not just a fun saying. That's the truth. And to be fans of these student athletes of all different ages, of all different skill sets. I mean, it was important to me. And I don't know if you guys have noticed today that there's a new background here on the Power Hour. We got the TV hanging, but you know, Alyssa Pompilia is over there. You got Coach Francis Shelley over here. We have, you know, I know Joe Roth is right here. You can't really see him now, but when we have two screens, you'll be able to see him just fine. You know, we have just something we want to do is just feature Kevin Moore, by the way, right here. One of my favorite dudes. And I have to say, share a story with you about taking my son down to the court and having him get autographs from these kids. Nobody turned him away. Nobody, and I was by him, so there was probably something to that. But none of those kids even came close to. They were all just honored. I think some of them were very surprised to be able to get that ask of an autograph. And even though it wasn't the best basketball, we got him like a $5 one of those little basketballs to sign. It was a great moment for me because I got to see, even from a father's perspective, I got to see Z get an autograph from a kid who, you know, so many kids, by the way, he was attracted to and just in awe. The same way that we all are whenever we're young and we see kids do things that are just grand scale stuff that we don't even imagine and we're seeing for the first time. He had never seen anybody slam dunk before. And the first time that he got to see somebody slam dunk was Kevin Moore in pregame, and immediately got his autograph right after. And he was just locked on to guys like Kevin Moore, guys like DeMarcus McElroy, Christian Colosimo, Parker Berdine, all guys that autographed his ball before the game, he was now immediately attracted to, and that was his guy or his guys. Watching the autographs during the game was something so special to me. It was so off the wall, and people thought it was weird at first, but when it started happening, you could feel the momentum and the feel of the room change. It was awesome on so many levels, and the only reason we wanted to do that was because we want basketball, we want sports, whether it's football, basketball. You know, we're going to do a volleyball game. We're obviously doing softball and baseball this spring. The reason we do that is not just to make people feel good about it, but it's to make people understand that there's another generation that's coming, to open up those doors, to allow people access in the dugout or access on the sideline or access on the floor, so that way there's autographs going on. That kid keeps that autograph, and someday I pray that they are part of that All-Star game and they do the same thing. Because if we start doing this over and over and over again, ladies and gentlemen, even though sports, I don't believe in my heart, will ever die in the Mahoning Valley, it is not going to even be close. It's going to thrive once again, because generations giving to generations, giving to generations. I have to just, to see the end game on that, to play the long game on this and see what happens. You think Northeast Ohio is a mecca and a hotbed of sports right now? We're not playing to be second fiddle here. We're playing for the strap. We're playing for the belt. We're going to wear that belt proudly, and we're going to keep bringing home championship after championship after championship, because it's not going to be just brothers and sisters that are in the house, right? That we're transferring, excitement for the game. We're going to have, people that are from communities. I want kids from East Palestine to learn from kids from Austintown. I want kids from Columbiana to learn from kids from Boardman, and vice versa. Because at the end of the day, if we just go at this like a community, as opposed to, well, I don't like this kid because he's from this town or this town or this town, we're not going to get far with that mentality. But if we look at this as, we are Northeast Ohio, we are Youngstown, everybody's Youngstown here, right? If you're East Palestine, if you're Columbiana, if you're Edison, if you're Austintown, if you're Boardman, everybody represents Northeast Ohio. Everybody that's under this banner right here is part of our family. Our family had a big win on Saturday night. And I'm not talking about just a 1-point victory. Even though the games weren't dictated by points, we won. And we won in a landslide. And when we win, everybody wins. End of story. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we got Jenna McClish in a pre-recorded interview. You do not want to miss it. McClutch has so much to talk about, and I can't wait for you to hear her side of the story. Back in about 3 minutes on the YSN Power Hour, brought to you by these great sponsors.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times. But because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
It means the world to me to know that what we're doing is impacting people. And whether it's simply, I got to watch my son or daughter when I was out of town, or we just love watching YSN. We love what you do for our son or daughter.
Everybody.
So whenever someone says thank you or someone is appreciative of what we're doing, it tells me everyone at YSN is doing what we initially set out to do, which is shine a light on these athletes and help them kind of promote themselves. My name's Anthony Hartwig, and my sports network is your sports network.
And my sports network is your sports network as well. All right, here is the interview with Jenna McClish, the Salem Lady Quaker and the 6th Woman of the Year here for YSN. Oakley with you with another player profile, and it is a very special one that's near and dear to my heart. A young lady who, over the last 2 years, I've got to know on and off the court, and she has done everything the right way since the day that I met her, and probably way beyond if you talk to anybody in her circles. Please welcome Jenna McClish. Jenna, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. And by the way, we got to pay some bills. This is brought to you by Joe Dickey Electric, proudly powering the Valley for over 60 years. Jenna, first and foremost, what a season it was for the Salem Lady Quakers this year. You talk about all the great things that were accomplished during the year, the ones that were public, the ones that just happened in the locker room. When you started the season, obviously everybody had personal and team goals. Did you check all the ones off your list?
I definitely did. It's been an amazing season with all these, with all my teammates and coaches, and just the experience was just something I'll never forget.
So when you look back, and I don't know if you've even had a chance to do that yet at the 2021-2022 season, but as a senior, looking at all the things, the stigma that's have been broken over the last 18 years, you're able to do things that have never been done in that 18-year period. What was it like, on the ride? I know what the bus rides were like personally, but what was the ride like with your teammates?
It was just like, this was something that we've worked for since we were little. So actually, like, getting to go through like the practices and the team dinners and being in the locker room with the girls and getting ready on game days, it was just like an experience that we've always wanted to go through, and it was cool that we got to go through it together and go through the emotions and the ride, and it was just an incredible experience. And I literally still, like, I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
This was a team that was not necessarily what I like to call a salad. You weren't just thrown together and you were able to feast on the 21 and 22 year. This was more like a chili that you guys had to be simmered in a crock pot from the time you were kindergartners all the way up till when you were senior. And obviously you and your teammates leave this group a better group than when you found it 4 years ago. Talk about why this group, this team, was so special in 2022.
Yeah, we've had an amazing team over my 4 years at Salem, but this team, it was just the chemistry that we had us seniors, and we were more of the goofy ones that like to joke around and have fun. And then you had the juniors, and they always kept us like in line. Like, we always knew that we had a job with them, and we couldn't get off the track, even though us seniors, we were something. And then you had the sophomores and freshmen that kind of just rode along with us, and each had a different role, and it was just fun to see us come together. And it was more of a family with us. Like, we had each other's back on and off the court, and I think that's why we were so successful in the season this year.
I think the chili reference is a perfect analogy, because you had the meat of the base of the chili, which was, you look at the Davidson girls, all of them, all 17 of them, they were the meat of the chili. But then you had, some spices here and there, and then you got the cayenne pepper, which was the seniors. When you are part of that group, why was it important to you to keep things so spicy with that team? And obviously, now we can release it. You're the 6th Woman of the Year for the entire YSN family of networks. You were named that because of what you did, not only on the floor, but off the floor. On the floor, you were constantly diving on the ground. You were constantly getting, I don't want to say, I don't want to shortchange you and say you were getting like thrown around, But we have clips where literally a young lady is tossing you around like a rag doll, and you just get up smiling. What was it about that season and being that cayenne pepper of the chili that makes it so important to you?
We definitely, from the years before, we knew that we can create something special. And so coming into my senior year, I knew it was just whatever I could give at practice, off the court, on the court. It was just an experience. It was just an experience that I knew that I had to put everything out there. So we each had a role, and my role was just to go out there and keep these girls up here even when times get tough. And it was just something that, I don't know, like, it was just unexplainable. So
at the end of the year, people may or may not realize this. I want to say it was still regular season, but it was late in the season. There was it a Saturday or a Sunday that I got a text message, McClish is hurt. McClish is out. She's done for the season. So people may not know this. You actually broke your wrist?
No, I broke like the base of my thumb.
Okay.
Yeah. So
playing volleyball during basketball season, and there was a lot of people at that point in the season holding their breath because, excuse me, of what you meant to the basketball team. But what I immediately said to anybody that was texting me the bad news was, McClish is never done. If there is an ounce of soul in her body, it doesn't matter if she's on the floor or off the floor, she's going to support that team. However, talk to me about what was going through now that we can look back on it and nobody can be mad, what was going through your mind when you got injured, because it's not the first time that you've injured that hand, and kind of how you went through the process mentally of no matter what, you were always going to support your teammates and your team.
Yeah. I mean, I've been through it time and time again, and I already had talked to Coach going into the season that I was going to be doing volleyball during the season. So, I mean, we knew the risk was there. And so when it happened, I was like, okay, it's not broken. I came home, I told my parents, I was like, it's just dislocated. Like, they just have to pop it back in place and I'll be fine. And so I'm going to the doctors. My dad, he's got to think the worst. So he's like, oh yeah, we're done. And I'm like, we're not done. I'm going, even if it is broken, I'm playing. This my senior year. It was the weekend before our senior game. So I was like, there's no way I'm going out not playing my senior game. And it was 2 weeks before tournament. So I was like, I'll just tape it up. I'm going out there because I'm not missing out on this season. So there's a lot of emotions. I called Hamilton right when I had left the hospital. I was like, my thumb's broken. And she was like, you got to just calm down. And I was like, you're right. I was like, it will be fine. So my parents luckily got me into the doctor pretty fast. And I've been to the same doctor. So he was like, I know if I tell you you're not going to play, you're going to play. So we'll just make something for you to get you out there. So I was pretty happy he was on my side about that, even though my dad didn't really want to send me out there. But I told Mom there wasn't any chance I was going to sit on that bench. So
I love it when you look at certain players that come along every so often embody the character of that team that they represent. And Jenna, nobody embodies what Salem did over the last 2-3 years more than you this year, with the amount of, people don't realize you're not tall in stature, right? What do you list on your driver's license, I guess, is the best question.
I think I pushed 5'1". I think that's it.
And we're pushing that. That's with high heels on, all that stuff, hair tall, all that. You're small in stature, but your heart never, ever, and I made sure it was in the story, you're never matched because of who you are, the way that you were raised, obviously the team around you. You care so much about your teammates that you're always the first person in line to stand in front of harm's way for teammates that tower above you, and whether it be from a standpoint of just somebody talking trash or somebody physically trying to impose your teammates, you're always the first one there. Why is that so important to you?
I mean, yeah, size has never really been, I've always been the smallest one in the grade, so I just knew that what I brought to this team wasn't going to be size, so I had to bring something else. And these girls, I mean, we've played together since as long as we could even walk, pretty much. So, I mean, they've become family to me, and I'm always going to have their back. Even now that I'm off this court, I mean, these girls can always reach out to me, and it's just the relationships that we built. I'd do anything for these girls, and I'm so happy to have them in my life.
I'd be remiss if I introduced you once again as the Salem basketball player, because you are a multi-sport athlete with the Quakers. So now you shift your attention to softball season. Everything's a go. You're good to go. Another leadership role for you, I'm sure, on the diamond. When you think about kind of the entire 4 years and how fast it's gone, and especially this year, I'm sure, what do you look back on with the most fondest memories of what you're trying to leave from a legacy standpoint in those walls and in those halls at Salem?
Definitely each sport I've played has definitely created a different role for me. So like walking the halls, and even on like Saturdays when we would take kids from basketball and work with them or help the softball girls out, it's just I want to leave the legacy that like you can have fun and you can be serious at the same time, but you just got to enjoy it. So when I'm there, I just like to make sure everybody feels welcomed, and I hope that I had that happen. So I hope everyone knows that it was a blessing to be able to say I was part of Salem High School and everything that I was in, every sport and activity that I was a part of. And I just hope that people remember me by character. So
what's interesting about all of this is when we had our kind of season-ending conversation with Coach Hamilton, which I'm sure you saw, because Salem supports Salem in every facet of the program. I asked her who she could see being in her role in 18 years, and immediately, without even batting an eye, she said Jenna McClish. What does that mean to you, and can you see yourself being in a role like Coach Hamilton in the next 2 decades?
Yeah, when I saw that interview, I mean, the feeling I had was just unbelievable. She's amazing, and she's always been there, and being able to have 2 years of volleyball with her and then 2 years of basketball, I've really gotten close with her. So, like, being able to be mentored by her and, like, see the shoes that she had to fill and the responsibilities and how she, like, took every moment, it was just an unbelievable experience. And I'm actually going into education, so I'm hoping once I get going, I'll be able to coach, and knowing that I was under not only her, but such amazing coaches like Renee and Shoes one day. So
I like that. I mean, you are a natural born leader, young lady, and I think that it's a perfect opportunity for you, being that you are our winner of the 6th Woman of the Year. When you heard that, you first heard it, what did it mean to you, and what does that tell you about what you're kind of building, the foundation that you're leaving behind for the Lady Quakers and, of course, the entire YSN family?
Yeah, when I saw that, I was in shock. I think my jaw opened because it goes beyond the court or the field. It's like the role models I had in my life have left such a big impact, and for others to see that I've taken what I've acknowledged from other people and used it in my life, it was just an unbelievable experience, and I was so blessed to be honored by you guys. So I couldn't thank you guys enough.
All right, you talked about role models. You know what we got to do next. The next question is, who are your role models, and what lasting impact have they had on you, and kind of when did that come about?
Obviously, my parents have played an amazing role, and I couldn't thank them enough for everything they've done for me. And just being the person I am today, I wouldn't be half the person I am without those two. And they're my biggest role models, but I'd obviously Hamilton, having her for 4 years, she's like a second mom to me, and just being able to like follow in her shoes and see the responsibilities and stuff that she does and how she handles each situation is just remarkable, and I'm so happy to have such amazing people in my life.
I'm a big fan of obviously everything that you do from a standpoint on the court, off the court. I've already told you that. But I loved being able to be at that district game and be actually really all year if you think about it. But your parents were always kind of out of my sight up until that district game. Being able to see the interaction between your mom and your dad, it was always funny. And I know that you see that and you've seen it for a long time. When you look over to the stands, I think I'm interested because I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this question, especially publicly. When you look over to the stands and you see your dad getting all lathered up and worked up, what's the first thing that goes through your mind?
Well, I look up and you got Rick Barley and Nick, Rob, and they're all on their feet yelling. So I'm standing there and I see my dad, and you're just like, uh-oh. Then I look over at Mom. She's looking a little annoyed, and I'm like, oh gosh, he's heated up right now. But it's just funny because when we get home, me and Mom are sitting there making fun of Dad, and just the relationship that we all have is just, it's so funny. So.
All right, so I got to ask you, there's 2 more questions. The first one, what do you plan on doing when you walk across that stage and get that nice piece of paper saying you did all the requirements to graduate from Salem High School? That's the first question. I'll wait for the second question after this one.
Yeah, being a part of Salem and having my parents that were a part of Salem, it's a huge honor to be able to walk across that stage. Forgot the word for a second.
That's okay.
To walk across that stage and be proud of everything that I've done. And obviously I wouldn't get there without my friends and my teammates and my family, all the teachers, just everyone that's a part of this community has impacted my life so much. And when I'm walking across that stage, it's going to be exciting but sad at the same time.
What are your plans after graduation?
I'm planning on going to YSU to major in education, and then hopefully I want to go back to Salem, so hopefully in a couple years they'll let me come back and then maybe tag team with Hamilton and some coaching.
There we go. All right. I like that. I think that's awesome. Got to make sure that Bale's got the beat still. So
yeah, Bale's there. That whole team's got to come back.
That's it. Bring them all back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cheat you here because I'm going to ask an additional question. Whenever you saw that team from 2004 make their way back and support Sarah, support you girls, did you envision at all what it was going to be like 18, 20 years down the road with you kind of being in those shoes and you know, the girls that you were surrounded with in that locker room coming back and supporting the program once again?
Yeah, it was just, I mean, you were at that game. You saw everybody there, and the people that came back, it was just like, it was so cool to see how we brought this community together and the support that the community brought. Like, I literally get goosebumps, like, thinking about it, because Norton was, like, 2 miles down the road?
Right.
And we're an hour away, and the support that we had was incredible. And, like, seeing the players come back and having Hamilton and Renee was just amazing. And, like, they'd tell stories, and it was like we're living in those shoes now. So it was just incredible.
All right, promise. Last question for you. So on Saturday, tomorrow, if you're watching it on time, there's going to be an opportunity for you to put the Salem jersey on one more time. There's going to be an opportunity for you to be coached by Coach Hamilton one more time. Without getting too overly emotional, what do you think is you're going to take away from that opportunity? Are you going to be more in the moment and try to capture those moments as they happen? Or is it something where you're just, you know, you've already been a part of a few All-Star games. Is it just another game for you?
No, this one's definitely different, because putting on that Salem jersey and having it across across my chest, and being able to represent not only Salem but represent my team and my coaches and everything that we've done is something that going to be hard to let go of in a couple years. But I'm not going to take it obviously too serious. I'm pulling that half court shot.
Yeah,
we're going for it. But I mean, me and Hamilton, with my how my character is, it's always fun. So I'm excited to have her obviously on the sidelines, and I'm sure Bailey and Coach Day and Renee, and even I don't even know if Coach Spack's coming, but to have them on the court one more time, on the sidelines with me one more time, is just going to be an incredible experience.
Is it a situation where you have a checklist of things that you want to do tomorrow night? Like, I know that you are an organized young lady. I know that, it's probably a situation where you've got everything color coordinated in your closet, from different shades of the rainbow. Are you going to go in with a game plan of things that you want to take away, or is it one of those situations where you're just going to let the night happen to you?
Well, I got my jersey laid out for Anthony, so that's already set. He told me to bring both, and we're getting that picture after the game. So, but I'm kind of just going in with the moment, not trying to wish it away too fast, and I'm just going to enjoy it. And like I said, we've practiced that half-court shot in practice, so if it doesn't go in, I think Hamilton's going to be pretty upset with me.
There's no anger tomorrow night, I promise you that. Jenna McClish, thank you so much, not just for this interview, but for everything that you've done along the way, and being a proud supporter of what we do, and continuously giving the interviews after even tough games and things of that nature. We're going to miss you, but we're going to certainly celebrate tomorrow the career that you've put together at Salem, and everything that you're going to do in the future. So looking forward to that. Thank you for this, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Hey, thank you. And thank you guys for everything you've done, not only for us, but for all the areas around us. Thank you couldn't even be enough. You guys are amazing. So
you're the best.
Thank you.
And she is beyond the best. And what a great interview, and what a great sport that she is. She talked about that half quarter. She's pulling it. She got it. She nailed one on Saturday night. So that is, again, thank you to Jenna McClish for that interview. If you want to see it, it'll be available to you. If you missed any part of that interview, you can go back on ysnlive.com and relive it in its entirety. All right, it is time. It is the end of the show. That means it is time for one thing and one thing only. It is the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? The Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends at DickeyElectric.com, proudly powering the Mahoning Valley for over 60 years. Well, this one is a gimme. If you know or you are a friend of mine on social media, specifically on Facebook, I've got to relive this one, because there was a moment that happened on Saturday that has been a long time waiting for me. As you know, and one of the reasons I'm wearing my East Palestine, I got East Palestine baseball hoodie, and a hat that was given to me, one of my favorite hats I have from East Palestine with the orange bill on it. My favorite thing, probably, again, I owe so many people. I have so many mentors and so many role models, and that's why I always ask the question about role models to these kids, because I'm always interested how they are built from a role model and a mentor standpoint. I'm very interested from this standpoint. My role model, my earliest role models that I had, one of I have many, but one of the few that I've kept up with over the years is a gentleman named Troy Berdon. And many people here in the area might know Troy Berdon from what he did on the baseball field or the basketball court or the football field. Troy Berdon, to me, was a guy that came into my life when I was 18 years old. Just turned 18. I was one of the senior captains on the baseball team. As most of you know the story, I had big dreams of being a Major League Baseball player, going to college, playing baseball, things of that nature. Well, I'll read this and it'll explain a lot more. So, I'm just going to read it verbatim as it stands on my page, so please bear with me. A moment that was 19 years in the making. In any athlete's life, they'll be fortunate to have many coaches along the way, but some make major impacts along that journey that change the path ahead. I was very fortunate to have Troy Berdon step into that role of head coach of East Palestine baseball my senior year. From day one, I trusted him with the love I had for my school, my teammates, and for my future. I remember our first meeting was in front of the trophy case. I remember it so vividly. And he said during that meeting that we would once again take a picture right there after we won our very own TCL title. While that championship never came to be, and neither did that picture, the lessons that Coach Berdon passed along to us that year stay with me to this day. He taught me about life, and it wasn't always going to be fair. And that even though you outwork everybody, you're still never guaranteed a damn thing. However, he gave me the opportunity, inning after inning, to grow as a leader, to call my own game behind the plate, to make my mistakes, and to learn from those mistakes, to become humble, to build relationships with pitchers as well as umpires, and more than anything, to never give up. Never, ever give up, no matter the obstacle. So, Saturday night, after 19 years, I got my picture with my coach. But instead of standing in front of a trophy case that would collect dust along the years, we stood in front of a banner of an empire that was forged from the very lessons that he taught me during that season, and the ones that I've used in one way or another, day in or day out, each day along the way. Coaches, you should know that you never know the impact that you're going to make during a season. You never know the impact that you're going to make on a daily basis to those that you're teaching. While it's important to focus on preparing players for big games, it's equally important to prepare them for life. So thank you, Coach. I'll never be able to fully put into words how you shaped my life, but I'm certainly grateful beyond measure that you did it. So I have to show these pictures because I think I think when you have these, it's really cool. And thank God for my wife, because if it wasn't for her, these would be somewhere in a suitcase somewhere. So there is Coach Troy Berdon and myself. That was senior day, I think, when we were given our signs, senior signs for the yard, and Coach got one as well. And then here was Saturday night. Coach Berdon, Troy Berdon, one of the greatest people that has ever walked in and through my life and made a huge impact on who I am today. And all the people that are watching this show or are a fan of YSN very much are in debt, as well as I am, to a guy named Troy who taught me the meaning of what it's like to work hard and again, to not take anything for granted. So, Coach, again, tip of the cap to you as always, and I appreciate you letting me be the leader of that baseball team day in and day out, and it's taught me so much about how to be a man and how to take losses as well as how to celebrate victories. So that's what we did today. We celebrated a big victory, and all of it is because of you. So thank you very much, coaches. Again, you never know the impact that you're going to make, and it might be that short kid like a DJ Yoakley or a Jenna McClish that is going to make an impact in much bigger ways than they could ever make on the diamond or on the floor or on the field. So thank you for all you do. The hours and the time spent and the resources allocated do not go unnoticed. It might take 19 years to get that pat on the back, but I hope it's worth it whenever you do. So that's going to do it for our show today. Special thank you to Jenna McClish for stopping by. Special thank you to everybody who made this weekend possible. The YSN All-Star Game, it was incredible, the atmosphere. We'll get back on track things tomorrow. Hopefully the snow goes away and we can play some baseball, some softball, and we can run some track and field right back at you on the network. Until then, my name's DJ. I'm going to see you take a 23-hour break. We're peacing out. Until next time, we'll see you on the Power Hour. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network.